Serious, travelers of Reddit, what are some of the creepiest, scariest experiences you've had abroad? Hiking in Huaraz, Peru, has been told to watch our gear as locals, and apparently foxes might make off with items left around the campsite, so we made sure to clean the campsite extra well, packing all our gear in the tent and inside the fly, and after a long day hiking, off to bed. Middle of the night our tent starts shaking like crazy. I wake up freaking out thinking we were getting robbed. I started yelling and screaming. Part of the tent pushes in real far. I managed to get outside to start swinging and come face to face with the cow that had wandered into the tent ropes and got startled. Pretty lucky that it didn't step down into the tent and hit us. Dang, poor cow. That being said, one misstep and your leg would have been crushed. A cult behind several murders in China tried to recruit me for some reason. Maybe you have a real serial killer vibe. I went to visit Ukraine with my parents because they wanted to see the small villages where their parents were born. We have no family in the area, so we hired a guide to take us around since the country can be a bit corrupt. As we were driving around on a highway, we suddenly were stopped in traffic, literally middle of nowhere. The guide gets out of the car and takes a look, then quickly jumps back into the car, does a U-turn and drives off, telling my mom we can't go to her mom's village. We ask why and he says that was some kind of Russian militant roadblock. This was during the whole Crimea thing. The whole Crimea thing is still ongoing. Met a guy in Munich on the street who had lived in the same house as I did, in Cincinnati, 40 years ago. My god, imagine the butterfly effect leading up to that moment. The universe isn't real. Shortened version of a long tale. Got my phone pickpocketed on the subway in New Delhi. I was able to grab one of the thieves. He didn't have my phone. A mob of random commuters beat the living frick out of him at the next stop. The police arrived and continued to beat the crap out of him with cricket bats. We took him to the police station. Told him to call his friend who had the phone. Friend wouldn't come. Police closed the door to their office with the thief and I just hear screams. I wait and wait. Police officer brings the kid into my room with a black plastic bag, throws the kid on the dirt ground, opens the bag, pulls out my phone from a bag of curry. He throws the curry on the ground and makes the kid eat it. He even gave him a spoon. Got my phone back though. 1992, I was walking up the stairs to the ticket booths in the Warsaw, Poland Central train station. All of a sudden this dude is falling down the stairs, coming to rest a few stairs above where I was standing. Dude had a long screwdriver sticking out of his abdomen. Poland in 1992 and Poland now are basically two different countries, thankfully. I had a pack of wild dogs chase me from my bus stop to my hotel at 3 AM in Kosovo. I also had an old woman yell at me in Russian about not making my bed right on the train and then watched over my shoulder till it was to her satisfaction when I was on my way back to Bucharest from Moldova. I was traveling in Nicaragua several years ago when I got lost and ended up having to take a taxi at 9:30 PM back to my hostel. When the taxi pulled up to the curb, the taxi driver locked the taxi doors and told me that I had misunderstood the fare. He claimed I owed him $100, which was several times more than we had agreed upon. I tried to pry the doors open from the inside but was completely trapped. Thankfully, he let me out of the taxi after taking all the money I had on me. The hostel workers told me I was incredibly lucky. A few days earlier, a taxi driver had kidnapped another young female, assaulted her, then dumped her barely conscious body in a field outside town thinking that she was dead. A few local school children found her on their way to school in the morning. LPT when traveling to Nicaragua, only take taxis that have a red stripe on the top and bottom of their license plates. They are the only legal ones, and all others are fake. Source: lived in Nica for a bit. On the red-eye train, stopped for a layover in New York. My friend and I are half asleep, sitting across from each other. A homeless guy snuck into the train, pulled his pants and underwear down and tried to sit with my friend, encouraging her to help him out. I woke up just in time to see it happen. Took me telling the guide to find another place to sit for him to hurriedly pull his pants up and move somewhere else, only to try the same thing to another woman, who was extremely vocal about it. The cops spoke with us. Apparently this guy was known for stealing cans from the subways and this was a new MO for the guy. In 2016 I went to Brussels in a school trip. We were at the train station and we left to Germany, I believe. Several hours later all of our moms just start calling and texting us asking where we were and stuff. Turns out there was a bombing in the train station. It's crazy to believe that the bombs were probably already planted when we were there. Got pickpocketed by a group of 3 on a Paris metro. I'm paranoid of losing my wallet, so I'm always checking myself. When I realized it was missing, I made a bigger scene than the pickpockets were making. They shoved me into their friend and were trying to convince people I knocked him down. I stopped the train from leaving the station. One of the other passengers left to get conductor and security. I guess that didn't sit well with the pickpockets, so they gave me back my wallet and took off running. Similar thing happened to my father in Paris. 2 guys pickpocket him. He feels it and confronts them, grabs his wallet back and they spit in his face. I lean out the car to see what is happening just in time to see my father spit back in rando guy's face. I thought he had lost it. I was stalked by a guy while walking through the Tiergarten in Berlin. I was walking a path, enjoying the park alone. I saw this guy standing on the edge of the walkway just looking off into the distance. I passed him and when I was about 20 feet away, he turned and followed after me, keeping pace. I started to take a very meandering path, even leaving the park and entering again. The guy stuck with me the whole way. Eventually I got to a place with some sharp turns and heavy greenery. I was able to lose the line of sight and put myself up against a corner. I'd just been in Switzerland and had bought a pocket knife, so I opened the blade and held it inside my jacket pocket. I stood there, waiting, and then this guy comes walking out of the path confused and obviously trying to see where I went. When he finally spotted me, he jolted and since I had the drop on him, he played it cool and continued walking as if he hadn't followed me there. He stopped a little ways ahead, and I kept watching him. I wanted to confront him to find out why he'd followed me, but since I was a visitor in the country, I thought better of it. Instead, I waited until I saw a big group of people leaving and fell in with them. He started to follow me, but I finally lost him outside the garden. It unsettled me because to this day I have no idea why he was following me. I'm a guy and at the time I was in my early 20s, pretty fit, and had a sour disposition, so I didn't seem like a prime mugging target, but maybe he thought otherwise. Oh boy, Tiergarten is known gay cruising area. He was into you, not into your wallet. Was on a flight once going into Orlando that hit some unexpected turbulence. This was no ordinary turbulence. We went from 0 to 100 in an instant. People literally flew out of their seats. Luggage fell from the overhead bins. People screamed like they were going to die. There were several sudden drops in elevation strong enough that people's arms flew up in the air and my butt came out of the seat. I've flown quite a bit and sometimes it gets bumpy. This was the first time I seriously thought something bad was going to happen. I was staying in a weird hostel by myself in Barcelona. Woke up to a man staring at me while I slept. He was looking over one of those wood dividing screens that the shared room had. I pretend to still be asleep because I was afraid of what he would do if I moved or confronted him and I didn't know if there was anyone else in the room. He stared for like 2 hours until finally my alarm rang cause I had to take an early train. So I put all my stuff in my bag and left the room. As I left I told the owner, but I was really in a hurry and didn't ask what he was going to do with the guy. I couldn't lay there 2 hours, I would have flipped out. A friend and I were waiting for a night train in Naples and after someone tried to steal our bags decided to go everywhere together. It was a good thing because a man who had been whistling at us for an hour tried to follow us into the bathroom. Naples was the worst part of my last trip too. Creepy men and all kinds of scary crap. I just wanted to see Pompeii and avoid Rome over Easter weekend. A good friend of mine in Zimbabwe was grabbed at gunpoint and forced into a van. Thankfully they only took her to an ATM and made her drain her account, then they left her somewhere outside town. Could have been so much worse. This would never happen in Zimbabwe now because none of the ATMs have physical cash anymore. There is a so-called cash crisis because of a massive foreign currency deficit. Thieves normally try steal your phone without even worrying about your wallet because they know there will be no money in it, only a debit card. In India our bus rounded a corner in the mountains and another bus was on the other side of the curve. Both buses skid to a stop about 1 foot from one another. Both drivers started laughing and poking fun at each other. We saw a bus from the 80s that fell down the mountain about 15 minutes later. How intense. When I was a kid, my dad used to lead groups of college kids to Central and South America to build houses. One year he decided that we should ride the chicken butt from Guatemala City to Mexico City. Long trip. We got to the border and a soldier with a heck of a big machine gun got on the bus and looked around. Saw that we had about 15 college girls on the bus, and then went and talked to someone on the phone. About 2 minutes later, a bunch of guys with machine guns got on the bus and informed us that all the males had to get off the bus and line up in front of it. I remember that we did it, but there was a heck of a lot of tension in the air as we did. Soldiers crammed into the bus. We waited. Finally, they got off the bus and we got back on and away we went. It was a whole lot of nothing, really, but I remember my dad, the leader of the group, looking very pale and sweating bullets. We went on a family trip to Croatia and on our way to the beach we pulled over to the side of a road for a pee break. So we opened the car door and like always our dog jumps out first. He ran into the field right next to the street. Then suddenly my mother starts screaming the name of our dog, because 10 meters away from our car was sign that said, "Stay away, old minefield." Thankfully nothing happened. A few years ago I was on holidays in Mozambique and as we were walking through a field, we stumbled upon an old sign warning we were in a minefield. Now Mozambique has made a very concerted effort to demine their country, and chances are this particular area was cleared. Then again if they forgot to clear out the sign, it was a very tense journey retracing our steps back the way we came. I was working at the Sochi Olympics and saw a pack of stray dogs chase and take down one of our team's translators before people scared them away. That was an eye-opener. I witnessed a creepy old man groping a teenager on a crowded train in Osaka. The girl was just enduring it and you can tell that she was holding back her tears. I whipped my phone out and started filming the guy, which made him use his other hand, which was blocked from my view, so I asked my guy friend to switch places with a girl. After that, on the next stop, the creepy guy got off. I asked the girl if she was okay. She thanked us and her friends also expressed their gratitude. I think all of them, all teenage girls, were aware of the groping, but I read somewhere that it is not the Japanese culture to make a scene. I was aware that this kind of thing was prevalent in Japan, but I'm still shocked to see it in person. That creepy man and the poor girl's face will be forever etched in my mind. I was traveling by van through the mountains in the Philippines with a friend that is a really big guy. We came up on a checkpoint with soldiers searching cars. The guys were all wearing mismatched clothes and did not have any insignias on their uniforms or trucks. They searched all of our bags and we're asking questions of the driver in Tagalog, which we did not speak. We heard them say American and we were the only 2 Americans on the bus. They talked for a little while and finally waved us through. Later we told the story to another American and he said we had gone through a guerrilla controlled area where Americans had been kidnapped for ransom lately. They all agreed they did not take us because of the size of my friend. I think we got really lucky that day. Dang, that's freaky. The dude must be really big to scare off gorillas though. Kudos for saving you 2 some sleepless nights. You have been visited by the healthy spirit of exercise boy. You will burn all calories today if you comment "Blessed be the health hound." If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.